says that he'll take credit when everyone was up in the air about his capabilities, and that is a fact. Sam, you were there when Joey and I had that conversation in the pit area. I said, did you guys know that McLean's moving up? Joey said, did we know? Heck, we're the one that told him to. We were like, bring him up. We'll race with him. I mean, these guys know talent. They're talented drivers themselves. And I thought to myself, these guys here, that's a bold deal.
Yeah.
That's a bold move to invite that kid up. And they stood together as a group. For the most part, most of these late model guys were all for it. I think there was a couple that were questioning the decision. I will say that McLean has probably proved everybody wrong at this point. Well, except Joey. I mean, he's proved Joey right.
Yeah.
Joey was very verbal about McLean coming up. And, man, kudos to that kid. I was actually on the thought path of they're developing this young man too fast. I mean, I don't care how much talent you have, there is a such thing as developing a race driver too fast. They get up to a level where they're not competitive. Yep. They start getting burned out. Then they start questioning themselves, second guessing anything they do. And you know how mental it is in a race car.
Oh yes.
I mean, it's
100% focus.
It is. And it's not. It's the mental and the physical that come together. When you get that mental side, I don't care how good you are, you can beat yourself every time.
But if you can take that mental and the physical and put them together, you got a winner.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it was he did it. He did it. I still, honestly, you guys, I've watched the video probably 5 or 6 times. Probably 6 or 7 times.
I've watched it more than that.
Yeah. I still can't believe it. I never thought we'd see that. Did you, honestly, Sam, did you think that we would see McLean Bedoin win in a late model at that young age?
Everybody seems to think I have a bad opinion of
No,
McLean.
I'm not saying that. I know you don't have a bad opinion of him. I'm just thinking, can you... I guess what I'm asking is, can you actually believe he did it?
I'm sitting back quiet for a reason. Everybody thinks I have a bad opinion of the kid. I don't have a bad opinion of the kid at all.
No, we know that.
I think literally when I made the statement that he's being developed too fast was literally, I think I saw, like a lot of the guys in the pit saw, that class he was in was just defeating his development into the ground. There was no getting it. So from an outside opinion, that's what it looked like to me.
Well, and you and I had that same conversation together, and I even said it on the air. I agreed with you 100%.
Yeah.
I did. I clearly thought, and I'm not afraid to say that, what you're going to get with the West Coast wide open and the crew here, you're going to get 100% honesty. I said it, and I at that time stood by it. They're developing this kid too fast. It's going to go against him.
But after
I don't even know what to say after
I
that.
Don't either.
but then after I watched his first late model race, I pay attention to people's demeanor way more than they probably realize. So I'm in the pits and I watched, and yeah, I actually did expect a win from him this year for the slight fact that his whole demeanor was completely different. You could see him get out of the car. There wasn't any frustration. Mm-hmm. He interacted with more drivers where before he was just going into the hauler and he didn't really want to talk to anybody. So you could tell, okay, I can do this. Like, you could literally see it come over him.
He's developing his game.
Yeah, his confidence in himself.
After that first late model race, it literally...
His confidence in just himself and his own abilities is impressive, for one.
You got to realize, when you're a preteen, you know how uncomfortable you are with your body, with your mental state, with everything. Like, you have all that working against you anyway. And now you're
racing with men.
Yeah, and now you're going to get in a race car and go with it. So, literally, there might be people out there saying that this kid's not ready, but you haven't sat down and talked to him. You haven't watched him. You haven't seen him do his thing. He's light years ahead of most teenagers that are trying to drive race cars.
I say he's a phenom, is what he is.
So, yeah.
You can't say anything other than, yes, he is a phenom.
But that's my point where you said I can't believe it. I could believe it for the slight fact that I was watching him. I watched him.
And you get to see a lot more of that from where you're at the racetrack. I'm in the tower. You're in the pit area, so you get to see that stuff. I don't. So, and that's why I rely a lot on your feedback and what's going on down there.
Once that first late model race came and then that second one, and you could see him having fun, it was, watch out, boys, he's coming.
Well, you know, when I first met McLean, because I lived just a couple doors down from Dan Dyble's shop, and I got to meet McLean for the first time, and then, you know, Dan told me that the 17 car, that he was going to drive it, and I go, well, okay, but I never met him. And then comes this short kid, and I'm going,
Yeah.
hey, what's your name? And he goes, McLean. And I thought he said Mr. Clean. But anyway, he said McLean, and I said, well, you know, he reminded me of my adopted grandson I was telling you about, the drag racer, you know. And I just took a liking to the kid. You know, really nice, mannerable kid. Shook my hand, you know, hey, how are you? Then I met his granddad. Oh, God,
Yeah.
you know. And I thought, and I'll get off of it for a second, but his granddad was like, man, I'll never get to first base with this guy, you know. And I thought, Lord have mercy, he's pretty grumpy. And I thought, wow. And I started to pet the dog, and Granddad said, don't pet that dog. And I was just going to let him smell my hands, and next thing I know, I almost lost my arm. But, you know, I was talking to McLean, and he says, we're fixing to put the seat in my car. And I look over there, and here's this little bitty seat.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know, they put it in there. And his first practice, I went out to the first practice with him. And the first couple of wraps away, the seat broke.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, early.
And they took it out, went back to the shop, zipped it back in, come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he did very well.
He did.
But when I met McLean there that first day, I got to admit I was very impressed with the kid. And I'm not going to call him a kid. I'm going to say a young man.
You have to call
Yeah,
him a young
he's a
man.
young man.
Talking with him, his
Yes.
whole demeanor, he
Yes.
doesn't come across as a 12-year-old kid at all.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He reminds me a lot of, okay, and I know you weren't around for this. It was kind of a little before your time because you're coming to the track, but kind of reminds me a lot of a young Bryson James. Bryson was very similar. He was very, I don't want to say introvert, very, very.
He was shy.
He was shy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like to do interviews. Very kind of kept to himself. Did his homework. Studied on the cars. Really.
Well, I was raised around Davey Allison.
Right.
You know, kind of the same thing.
Reminds me a lot of. I mean, do you agree to that, Sam? He kind of reminds me a little bit of Bryson James coming up.
Kind of.
I mean, Bryson was. I think maybe. Honestly, Bryson is. I mean, since the kid started racing, has just been ultra smooth. I think it's raced at the advantage of everybody, but. We haven't seen something like this since Bryson, I guess, when we're talking about a young driver in the upper levels. But unbelievable to watch him pull that victory off, and just the. I mean, and I even say it, if you listen to the video in the last five laps while we're under caution, I even say you've got to wonder what's going on in the head of the young man in the 17 car. Not a teenager yet.
I was wondering what was going on with the man up there that was doing the announcing, because I've never heard you get that excited and screaming.
And when you see, and this is the thing, that could have been anybody.
Yep.
It could have been anybody. I am a fan of history. When you see history
Being made,
and you get to call that, I love that kind of stuff. That it makes what we do fun. It could have been anybody at that age, and I would have been excited. You know, I like to see track records broke. I like to see first-time winners. I like to see streaks. You know, one guy win 8, 9. And we've seen it in a row. That kind of stuff is, you get in the moment, and if you listen to my voice, I definitely got in the moment. That was fun to watch.
Yep. And, you know, Doc was standing by me down there, and he was going, you know, I asked Doc, I said, Doc, am I screaming too loud? He said, they can hear you in the stands.
Sounds like something Doc would say.
Yep.
No doubt. I want to get in. We're already at 7:30 almost. I want to get into the remainder of the show. We're just going to kind of talk about something that we've kind of discussed amongst each other and did a little bit of research and a little bit of reading, talk to some people. And before I do that, I want to thank our sponsors one more time. I want to thank James Gang Pizza, Swear Trucking, Bar S Motorsports, Jetstream Aqua Massage, Northwest Trucking Academy, Selman J Livestock, Archer Floor Covering, Amco Transmissions, Total Car Care Center in Lebanon, and Corvallis. A discussion that we've kind of had over the last couple of weeks is getting attention on your race cars, you know, promoting your sponsors. It's kind of something we talk about.
Positive attention.
Positive attention, right. And that's kind of been the discussion in the last couple of weeks amongst, you know, the crew here at Moxie. And
not an argument, a discussion.
no, right,
Yes.
right. And we have some great discussions amongst each other.
But we agree to disagree.
there's times we have to agree to disagree.
Corey and I disagree about a lot of things.
But we agree on a lot too, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some things that Sam and I are a long ways apart on, and some things that we'll stand solid with. The conversation we've had as far as it comes to positive attention, and when I say that, I'm talking about keeping your program tight, getting the maximum amount of exposure for your sponsors, and attracting new sponsors, which is not an easy thing to do in dirt track racing.
It's not easy to do in anything.
Well,
really.
right, but dirt track racing is so niche. It's not like we're on TV every Sunday with multi-million-dollar sponsorships. That's just not what it is. So to land a sponsor and keep a sponsor and promote that sponsor with someone who's not from the racing world can be a challenge. And some of the things that we have talked about to help drivers do that, and I actually like this discussion because there was a lot of good points brought up, was number one, we kind of all agreed that you need to display the sponsor's name prominently on the car. This is the thing, in a clear, easy-to-read letters and numbers. Okay? If you want to get that sponsor's name out there, don't have big swirly letters and cursive writing. And, I mean, that just makes things... How do you promote that on the track?
It's hard to read, too.
It is, especially under any kind of speed when the car is moving. You want to have just a good block slant, much like, and I'm not trying to pop off, but look at the Moxie logo. It's a good block letter. It's got some slant. It still looks like it's going fast when it's sitting there. You look at I think one car that really comes to mind as far as seeing the big sponsor that really just pops off, there's a couple of them. One is the East Side Paving. You see on the 111 car really stands out.
Mm-hmm.
The AMCO transmissions on the AMCO cars, whether it's Potter or McCombs or Goddard or French, that AMCO logo really stands out.
The Bar S logo pops on
the Bar S.
Yep.
It's logos like that. The number one, they're easy to read. Easy to read. You can identify them, and
they catch your eye.
Absolutely. Contrast is
That's
big.
the pop.
Right. Now, this is where Sam and I are going to differ on a couple things. Okay? And I get it because Sam likes that aggressive look. Mm-hmm. He likes that, and I do too. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about promoting a sponsor, standing out, doing something different. Okay? Do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago when Jimmy Schramm showed up with his new modified, the white car with the bright orange and the blue?
Mm-hmm.
When that car was on the track, that was pretty much the only car you saw because it was so different than everybody else.
It was a magnet. It's an eye magnet.
The contrast was there, so your eye automatically, whether that car is going fat, then this is where we disagree. So this is going to be fun. From an announcer standpoint or a fan standpoint or a flagger standpoint, okay, that car, the contrast is there, so your eye, whether you want it to or not, is automatically going to be drawn to that.
Correct.
From a standpoint of you do something dirty on the track from a flagger, you're going to stand out. He's going to see it.
Sure.
Where a black car isn't going to stand out because it blends into the track and the field, you're not going to be seen as well. Does that make sense?
But being black, are you being, let me see how to phrase this.
Did you make your car black because you wanted to look badass?
Yeah, but are you justifying your sponsorship? That's what I'm trying to say.
And I'm going to say a lot of the times with a black car, that answer is no. Because right now, and especially right now in today's racing, go to the racetrack, look at the cars. You're going to see more black cars than any other color out there. Okay, what does that do? All you're doing is blending in with, you're wearing the same stuff. You're really blending in. Okay?
Take Dan Dibel's car, for instance, that new number 74. That sucker pops. It's got the orange. It's got that green. It stands out. The numbers are standing up there really nice and pretty, and you can read the knothole market on the back. It stands out, and it'll catch your eye.